Hello, my name is Veronica West, and this is Education 7050. This presentation is on the comparative education of Germany. Let's go ahead and get started with the presentation. Okay. Contents of this presentation. We will go over the overview of the country, Hofstede's cultural dimensions, religions analysis, world values surveys children qualities, measures of wealth, social progress, and gender equality. PISA, which is student performance of Germany, and the overview and purpose of the German schools. Let's talk about Germany. Germany is known as the Federal Republic of Germany. Germany is in the heart or the center of Europe. Germany borders the following countries: Poland, Czech Republic, Australia, Switzerland, France, Belgium, Netherlands, and Denmark. European power struggles immersed Germany into two devastating world wars in the first half of the 20th century and left the country occupied by the victorious Allied powers of the US, UK, France, and the Soviet Union in 1945. With the advent of the Cold War, two German states were formed in 1949: the Western Federal Republic of Germany, the FRG, and the Eastern Germany Democratic Republic, which is the GDR. The decline of the USSR and the end of the Cold War allowed for Germany reunification in 1990. Okay, when we are basically comparing Germany's size to the United States, on the map that I have presented here before you, we can see that Germany's size in comparison to the United States, Germany is covering about 8 to 9 states on the eastern border, the eastern hemisphere of the United States. So it looks like it may be covering um, part of Atlanta, part of Tennessee, South Carolina, North Carolina, parts of Ohio, Pittsburgh, Washington. Um, Pretty much is covering about 8 to 9 states. So it's really not that big. Germany is not that big in size compared to the United States. Let's talk about Germany a little bit more. Germany is home to over 80 million people, as well as a diverse array of religions, customs, and traditions that make up the rich national psyche. Germany has long been a country of immigration, so many find it very surprising. But the demographics paint a picture of a vibrantly diverse society. Nearly 10.9 million of them hold a foreign passport, more than any of the 27 member states of the European nation, including those who have subsequently acquired German citizenship. Although born abroad or to many immigrant parents in Germany, over 20 million people in Germany have a migrant background. In other words, practically one-fifth of the people living in Germany have foreign roots. Germany has been distinguished as a particularly pragmatic and honest people. Basically, honesty works for them. They function off of honesty, being honest with each other and being there for one another. Germans have a strong moral, sensitive base on lessons of the past that have taught them to understand and respect these differences. Now let's talk about Germany's ethnic groups and languages. Germany is has an 86% rate. There's like 80%. 8% of Germany is German people. Then you have another percentage of people which is Turkish, Polish, Syrian, Romanian, and other Danish, Serbian, these countries that have migrated into Germany, and pretty much Germany has one, two, has about five, maybe six, possibly seven different languages that is spoken within that country. Your primary language is German, is the German language. It stands at like 86%. The second one you have is the Turkish. You have about 2% speaking Turkish. You have Polish, 1%, Syrian, 1%, Romanian, 1%, and other stateless or unspecified nationalities that are actually there makes up the other 8.9% of people, migrants, and ethnicity groups, as well as their languages. German officials note Danish, Frisian, Serbian, and Romanian are officially minority languages. Low German, Danish, Northern Frisiana, Sater Frisiana, Low Siberian, Upper Siberian, and Romania are recognized as regional languages under the European Charter for regional or minority languages. Okay, let's talk about Germany's political system. The Federal Republic of Germany is structured as a federal state and parliamentary democracy. The basic law states that all state authority derives from the people. The people of Germany then counterfeits this power, confers this power to the federal and the state parliaments for one legislative period. State authorities is divided between the legislative branch, the executive branch, and the judicial branch, which is responsible for the administration of justice. Their branches are just like our branches. They have a legislative, executive, and a judicial, just as the United States has it. Um, the parliamentary the parliament belongs to the legislative branch. The government belongs to the executive branch, and the judges at the state and federal level belongs to the judicial branch, which pretty much ours flow the same way as theirs. The highest court in Germany is the Federal Constitutional Court. Our highest court is the Supreme Court. So their political system is almost a mirror to our political system. Let's talk about Germany's economic system. The euro is the official currency of Germany. It has been for a while. Um, there has not been any change in their state currency. The euro still is presently the currency of Germany today. I've given you a few statistics on the labor and employment. As you can pretty much see, they broke down the employment within the agricultural, the industrial, and then the employment services and the unemployment rate. Pretty much you can see that your top two out of this bunch would be the employment in the industrial area, which currently is about 27% of the people, and about and for the employment and services, or which would be like customer service or some type of secretarial work, um, it looks to be as about 72% of those are employed um, in services. And when you're looking at the unemployment rate, you have it is very, very, very slim. Their employment rate is really at 4%, which is good. That means that basically everybody in Germany, almost everybody in Germany, is working or doing something. Compared to the U.S., I think our unemployment rate may be at a 6 or 7, and it may be lower. But that's what I remember last time I checked it. But as you can see, they're only at a 4% when it comes to the unemployment rate. If you go to the gross domestic product, um, the the GDP for the current international rate looks about to be about 4 billion, which is pretty good. Almost 5 billion, really, if we round it up. Um, for the GDP growth rate, and this is an annual percent, you're looking at like 3% on that. And for the GDP per capita, you're looking at, may as well say 58,000 for 58,000 per person. Let's talk about Germany's flag. The national flag of Germany is a tricolored flag that has three equal bands displaying the national colors of Germany. Those colors are black, red, and gold. The Germans' relationship with the colors of the flag came about in the radical 1840s. When the black, red, and gold flag was used, it symbolized the movement against conservative order that was started in Europe after Napoleon's defeat. Hofstede's cultural dimensions. Let's talk about Hofstede's cultural dimensions. First dimension that we're going to talk about is power distance. Power distance is defined as the extent to which the less powerful members of institutions or organizations within a country expect and accept the power is distributed unequally. This basically says that all individuals in a society are not equal, and this expresses the attitude of the culture towards these in inequalities among us. Highly decentralized and supported by a strong middle class, Germany is not surprisingly among the lower power distant countries. Germany scored a 35 on the power distance, and the United States scored a 42, which there's not very much uh, distance in between both of them. Both of them are almost right there neck and neck. Co-determination rights are comparatively extensive and have to be taken into account by the management. A direct and participative communication and meeting style is common. Control is disliked, and leadership is challenged to show expertise and best accepted when it's based on it. The next dimension we're going to talk about is individualism. Individualism deals with whether people's self-image is defined in terms of I or we. Individualist society, to people are supposed to look after themselves and their direct family. In a collectivist society, people belong to in groups that take care of them in exchange for loyalty. Germany is an individualist country, showing 67% of the country's believes in self-actualization. However, when you look at it in a small family setting, they tend to focus more on the parent-child relationship rather than the whole family, which would be the aunts, the uncles, and the cousins or the nieces and nephews. This is basically defined by the contract between an employee. It can be defined as another way you can define it as a contract between an employer and an employee. When we look at the communication is among the most direct in the world, following the ideal to be honest even if it hurts. And by this giving the count and by this it gives the counterpart a fair chance to learn from their mistakes. Okay. The next dimension is uncertainty avoidance. This means the way that society deals with the fact that the future can never be known, or should we try to control the future or just let it happen? The data shows that 65% of Germany is among the uncertainty avoidance, which means there's a strong preference for deductive rather than inductive approaches. Whether it be in presenting or planning, whichever way it is, the systematic overview, it has to be in order before they can do anything. Order is a priority in Germany. The next dimension is masculinity. When we look at masculinity, a high score indicates that society will be driven by competition, achievement, and success by being defined as the winner. A low score indicates that the dominant values in society are caring for others and quality of life. A feminine society shows that the quality of life is a sign of success and standing out from the crowd. And standing out from the crowd is not admired. So, at 66%, Germany is a masculine country or society. And since Germany is performance is high, it is most valued, and it tends to allow the schools within Germany to begin to separate the children into different types of schools at the age of 10. There's a saying that people pretty much, quote unquote, will live by. People would rather live in order to work and draw a lot of self-esteem from their task. Okay. The next dimension is long-term orientation. This means that every society has to maintain some link with its own past while dealing with the challenges of the present and future, and society prioritize these two essential goals differently. Number one, you have the normative societies, which score low on the dimensions. For example, they prefer to maintain time, honor, traditions, and norms while viewing societal change with suspicion. Those with a cultural which scores high, on the other hand, take a more pragmatic approach. They encourage thrift and efforts in modern education as a way to prepare for the future. 83% of Germany indicates that it is a pragmatic country, which actually they believe that the truth depends on the situation, context, and time. This basically shows the ability to adapt to traditions easily to change conditions, a strong propensity to save and invest, thriftiness, and perseverance in achieving results. The last one, the last dimension is indulgence. Indulgence means to extend to which people try to control their desires and impulses based on the way they were raised. Relatively weak control is called indulgence, and relatively strong control is called restraint. Being measured at 40%, this indicates that Germany's culture is restraint in nature. Societies with a low score in this dimension have a tendency to and Persium. Sucrem and Persium. Restrained societies do not put much emphasis on leisure time and control the gratification of their desires. People with this orientation have the perception that their actions are restrained by societal norms and feel that indulging themselves is somewhat wrong. Okay, what? Let's talk about Hofstede's cultural dimensions. We're going to talk about the first dimension, which is power distance. Power distance is defined as the extent to which the less powerful members of institutions or organizations within a country expect and accept the power. That power is distributed unequally. This deals with the fact that all individuals in society are not equal, but however, they express the attitude of culture towards these inequalities among us. Highly decentralized and supported by a strong middle class, Germany is not surprisingly among the lower power distant countries. They were at 35, and the U.S. was at 42. Co-determination rights are comparatively extensive and have to be taken into account by management. A direct and participative communication and meeting style is common. Control is disliked and leadership is challenged to show expertise and best accept when it is based on it. The second dimension is individualism. And individualism deals with whether people's self-image is defined in terms of I or if they're defined as we. In individualist societies, people are supposed to look after themselves and their direct families. In collective society, people belong to the in group that take care of them in exchange for loyalty. Germany is an individualist country, showing 67% of the country's belief in self-actualization. In small families, they tend to focus on the parent-child relationship rather than their uncles, nieces, nephews, or cousins. This is defined by the contract between an employer and employee. Communication is among the most direct in the world, following the ideal to be honest, even if it hurts. And by giving this by giving by giving the counterpart a fair chance to learn from their mistakes. Uncertainty avoidance. This means that a society deals with the fact that the future can never be known. Or should we try to control the future or just let it be, or let it happen? The data shows that 65% of Germany is among the uncertainty avoidance. There is a strong preference for deductive rather than inductive approaches, whether it be in presenting or planning. The systematic overview must be given in order to proceed. The next dimension is masculinity. When looking at masculinity, a high score indicates that society will be driven by competition, achievement, and success by being defined as the winner. A low score indicates that the dominant value in society are caring for others and a quality life. A feminist society shows that the quality of life is a sign of success, and standing out from the crowd is not admirable. At 66%, Germany is a masculine country or a masculine society. Since Germany performance is high and is valued, this trend allows the schools to separate the children into different types of school at the age of 10. People rather live in order to work and draw a lot of self-esteem from their task. The next dimension is long-term orientation, which means that every society has to maintain some link with its own past while dealing with the challenges of the present and the future, and society the prioritize these two essential goals differently. Normative societies, which score low on this dimension, for example, prefer to maintain time-honored traditions and norms while viewing societal change with suspicion. Those with a culture those with a culture which scores high, on the other hand, take a more pragmatic approach. They encourage thrift and efforts in modern education as a way to prepare for the future. 83% of Germany indicates that it is a pragmatic country, which believes that the truth depends on the situation, context, and time. This shows an ability to adapt to traditions easily to change conditions, a strong propensity to save and invest, thriftiness, and perseverance in achieving results. The last one is indulgence. Indulgence means the extent to which people try to control their desires and impulses based on the way they were raised. Relatively weak control is called indulgence, and relatively strong control is called restraint. Being measured at a 40%, this indicates that Germany's culture is restrained in nature. Restrained societies do not put much emphasis on leisure time and control the gratification of their desires. People with this orientation have the perception that their actions are restrained by social norms and feel that indulging themselves is somewhat wrong. Now let's talk about Germany's religion. When we look at Germany's religion, the most prevalent and dominant religion in the country of Germany is Christianity. I presented some graphs to the side here that you can look at, and as you can see, Christianity ranks at 68.7%, while non-religious comes in at 25%, and you have Islam at a 6%, and the rest all fall at a 1% or below. So Christianity is the dominant religion for the Germans. Of course, as it comes to importance, um, religion is not very important to Germans. The Germans sit at like 35% when it comes to 35% of its country says that it is not, that religion is not important to them. That teaching the faith of Christianity is not important to them. Um, so, but how it happened now, on the flip side, if we were to look at the United States sits at like a 37% in for it being important and 23% at being not important. Okay. Um, so if you kind of weigh the balances or weigh the scales, religion does not play a very big part Germany's um in Germany's country. Okay, when we're looking at the religion analysis, I've provided a map here, and basically the Germans tend to fall in the secular range, which is the opposite to tradition. They tend to have fewer family values and authority and religion, but however, they do endorse such things as divorce and abortions. Um, the German also fall into the range of self-expression, which is the expression of one's feeling. Hofstede's data shows that Germany is an individualist country. So if you take a look on the map, you'll see that I've pointed Germany out, and you can see that it's sitting far to the right. It shows that it is in the secular range, and it's pretty much falling the in the self-expression range as well. Let's look at some of Germany's beliefs. The German people are commonly known to have high individualisms and are formal uh, most of the time. The German people value political, economic, social, and the behavior of people. The Germans also value order. The Germans feel that knowing your responsibility is important, and they also feel that punctuality is required is also a requirement for the country of Germany. However, when we look at friendship in the country of Germany is different from other places. The Germans tend to keep smaller circles of friends because they feel like they will last for a lifetime. The smaller circle, the longer the friendship will last. Let's talk about the World Values Survey children qualities. In these qualities, the importance of child quality in independence. Let's start with independence. The graph shows that 73% of Germans and 56% of Americans think that children's qualities um, and independence are very important. Okay. Um, However, the Germans kind of value independence a little bit higher than the Americans do. On the second one, which is hard work, only 40%, only 41% of the Germans feel that hard work is important, and 68% of Americans feel that hard work is important. So there we have a shift in the balances. Americans feel that hard work is very important, while the Germans kind of feel like it may be, it can be, but it's not really that big of an issue. On the third chart, we have the Germans. So we are looking at responsibility. So the Germans feel that having responsibility is very important. They were at 82%. 82% of the Germans felt that way, and only 59% of the Americans felt that taking responsibility was important. So as we see in the scales again, Germany values responsibility more than the Americans. Okay, when it comes to imagination, only 24% of Germans feel that children having imagination is very important. On the flip side, the Americans pretty much felt the same way about their children, it being important for their children to have an imagination. They were at 29%, so pretty much they were basically saying the same thing, that it's really not important. When it comes to tolerance and respect for other people, 87% of the Germans felt like that was important, while only 71% of the Americans felt like that tolerance and respect was important. Again, there was not a very big gap there. It was almost very close in numbers. So pretty much both countries feel that it is um, it is important to have tolerance and respect for other people. All right. When we're looking at determination and perseverance, only 33% of the Germans felt that it was necessary for their children to have determination and perseverance, while only 39% of Americans felt the same way, that um, determination and perseverance are important, but it's not that important. Both of them were right there together again. So only ranking this was not a high priority. Determination and perseverance. Teaching your kids determination and perseverance. Um, Religion. The Germans, they don't feel that religion should be a part of the children's learning. However, the Americans feel that it is important to incorporate religious faith. As you can see on the scales, that pretty much the Americans were at 32%, and the Germans were at 10% when it came to incorporating your faith, religion, and beliefs. All right, on this, we're looking at how the Germans felt about their children learning to be unselfish. They don't feel like it is very important, or when it comes to prioritizing what's important and what's not important. So, teaching your kids to be unselfish is not that important to them. However, on the flip side, the Americans thought that it was somewhat important to teach your kids how not to be selfish. But it really wasn't a priority for them as well either. Okay, and the importance of obedience. Both of both the German and the Americans, that was not a priority for them. They were very low when it came to those scores. Neither one of them felt like it was a priority um, to teach their kids obedience. So as you can see in the world today, in the classrooms today, you can see that that is really prevalent. That we are not teaching our kids obedience at home. It starts at home, but that's another soapbox. But with these scores, it does show that Germany and America, it's not a priority for these two to teach that obedience is important. All right, let's talk about measures of wealth, social progress, and gender equality. When it comes to measures of wealth, of social progress, and gender equality, the Human Development Index, the HDI, is a summary that measures the average achievement in key dimensions of human development and having a long and healthy life, being knowledgeable, and having a decent standard of living. One on the measure on the measurement of wealth on the HDMI, Germany ranked 6 out of 189 on the HDMI, and in the Gender Equality Index, Germany ranked 20 out of 162. Germany's social progress imperative shows that for human needs, they scored a 90%. For wellness, they scored an 87% and 89% for opportunity. Okay, let's talk about Program for International Student Assessment, better known as PISA. All right, let's look at Germany's student performance, or better yet, Germany's PISA for 2018. In reading literacy, the main topic for PISA for 2018, it states that the 15-year-olds in Germany scored a 498 points compared to an average of 487 points in other countries. The girls performed better than the boys with statistically significant difference of 26 points. Okay. On average, 15-year-olds scored 500 points in mathematics compared to an average of 489 points in other countries. Boys performed better than girls with a statistically significant difference of 7 points. In Germany, the average performance in science of 15-year-olds is 503 points compared to an average of 489 points in other countries. Girls, on this hand, perform better than boys statistically with a non-statistical significant difference of 1 point. Socioeconomic status explains 17% of the variance in reading performance in Germany is 12% over the other countries. The average difference between advantaged and disadvantaged students in Germany is in reading is 113 points, compared to an average of 89 in the other countries. However, 10% of disadvantaged students are academically resilient. So basically, in a nutshell, Germany is doing very well in their academics. The girls outscoring the boys in pretty much everything except for math, but that's okay. That's good. Um, Germany is like one of the top in the PISAs when it comes to um, student assessments in Europe. Here are some high points from Germany's PISA in 2018. I'm just going to point out a few of them. I'm not going to point out all of them. If you want to, you can pause this segment and take the time to read all of them, but I'm just going to point out a few, such as the performance in science, the score difference in science between the 10% of students with the highest score and the 10% students with the lowest score is one of the largest among the PISA participating countries and economics. So pretty much they outscored um, other students in other countries in science. Okay, um, their school climate. Students in Germany are one of the less competitive compared to other PISAs participating countries and economies. Okay. And as far as their well-being, Germany 15-year-old students have a weak fear of failure. They they are afraid to fail. So with that push and stamina, that pretty much encourages them to be the best and do the best. Like I said, you can pretty much read the rest for yourself. I will pause it so that you can take a look at it. Let's talk about the purpose of schooling in Germany. The purpose of schooling in Germany is to provide an equal and quality education for their students that will equip them with the skills needed to succeed at the school level in society and workforce. German schools also aim to foster holistic development within their curriculum by offering a comprehensive curriculum that encompasses academic subjects such as math, reading, and etc. While they're not as big on soft skills and emotional health, the way that they foster the comprehensive curriculum is by having the student to use their critical thinking skills, creativity skills, and their problem solving skills. German German schools are big on empowering their students to become productive citizens that will contribute to the country's progress by embracing social and global change. German school German schools also emphasize on cultivating and shaping the national identity of their students. Their purpose is also to advance its economic progress through educating their children. The Germans also emphasize their value on maintaining order in all things, including education. Their education is also focused on developing good people good people per their status quo. With Germany having over 80 million people in 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 their country, their schools are also focused on diversity, culture, and traditions that are represented in the German school system. The education system in Germany is compulsory for children aged 3 to 19. The German ensures that the need the German ensure the government ensures that German schools have what is needed to regard in regards to the curriculum and the students' needs to receive an equal education. German schools follow their national curriculum, which focuses on, again, reading, math, writing, science, social studies, and also physical education. The Germans' aim is to provide a well-rounded and equal education for their students, and for their students to be productive in society as well as being respectful, law-abiding citizens of the country.